Good morning. How you doing? Robertson County and points beyond. This is 1100 WSG. I'm Utah LaVern, and this is One Street Over. Welcome to it. And I will just say, for all those folks on social media, you're going to see we're going to start just sharing the WSGI page to my page. It's all just the same, but there's just one thing there. So if you're wondering, where am I? There you are on social media. So you'll find on my personal page, you'll find a link to the WSGI page. So everything looks like it's working fine. But as we just try to kind of figure out all the ins and outs here at 1100 WSGI, Ilya Maldonado, the Ebenezer Broadcast Company, they are doing just a fabulous job. So funny, my friend Houston Dorris is in the house. How you doing?
Good morning, LaVern.
Good morning, good morning. It's so funny, I saw you come walking in and you went to the other studio. It's been that long since you've been in here. That's too long.
It's too long. That's exactly right.
Yes, because, I mean, it's been at least a couple of years that we've been in this studio. And what they did is when the Petersons sold it to Ebenezer Broadcasting, this became a worldwide Christian broadcast company. Isn't that cool? Right here in little old Robertson County, y'all.
Signal Hill, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's just Signal Hill. What'd you call it?
Signal Hill. This is all of my life. This was Signal Hill.
Really?
Mr. Don Trumpauer that used to broadcast from here, he called it beautiful snow-capped Signal Hill in the wintertime.
Oh, I love that. See, I love all the history.
Okay, there you go.
But Bill Jones, he's the one who always comes in and gives me all those little tidbits. I didn't know this was called Signal
Hill. Yes.
That's cool. That is so cool. I love learning all this stuff. I mean, that's one thing. I tell everybody, I knew nothing about my county until I sat down in this seat and started, doing the radio. And I just learned so many cool things. Just like Norris Milling. How long has it been around?
1844, LaVern. 1844, my great-grandfather.
Yeah, I know. My husband and I, we were talking about that. We were in there the other day. It's where, by the way, we have big dogs. That's where we get our food. It's good dog food, and it's farm priced. I just can't say enough about. We appreciate y'all because we have a great day now. Have you noticed we've been in there a little more often?
You've been in more often, so he must eat a lot, and I love it. I love it. I hope you get another one.
Yeah. Well, no. We're getting old enough now. We used to rescue dogs all the time, and I mean, there was one time that I think we rescued a breeding pair of Newfoundlands, and they were the people who were getting rid of them. They were like, well, they haven't had puppies, so we're done. So we took them in, and the minute they got to our farm,
puppies.
And we had something like, 16 dogs counting the pups. It was insane. I was like, never again. And we found homes for everybody. And we have 3 now, and we have 2. We have one that's an old boy, and I wasn't going to get more than 2. But then one of my students, they had an unexpected litter of Great Danes. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to get a Great Dane for a really good deal, and he's a great dog. I'll have to bring him in sometime so you can meet him. But now you guys have got some special stuff going on.
We do, LaVern. It's Easter time, and we always have our annual Chick Day. We've been doing this for about 30 years now.
That's so cool.
And we have the baby chicks for sale. We should have ducks. They arrive today, actually.
Oh.
And if they don't get sold out, we'll have ducks on Saturday.
Oh, fun.
We open at 7:30, but our main event begins at 9 and lasts till 12.
Okay.
We will have pony rides. We will have a petting zoo for the children to see the animals and feed the animals, ride the ponies. Also, the great arrival of the Easter Bunny.
Oh.
And, you can come and get your picture made with the Easter Bunny and pat him on the head and scratch him on the nose, and however you want to do that.
I love it. I love it. It's so much fun. This is just such a great time.
It's a fun time. The weather is supposed to be great on Saturday, nice and warm. We had to talk to the Easter Bunny and make sure that he was okay to come on Saturday, and we've got it all arranged for him to show up about 9 o'clock.
I love it.
And so all you guys need to come, bring your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors, and ride the ponies, pet the animals, and get your picture made with the Easter Bunny. And, of course, as always, LaVern, it's absolutely free. We just want you to come and enjoy the festivities of the day.
So will you have somebody there taking pictures, or can they just bring their iPhone?
Brings their camera.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Brings their telephone. That's used to be, we had the Polaroids, but that went by the wayside. You can't even get a Polaroid anymore.
Isn't that funny? I actually, I teach audio video at Greenbrier, and I have one. I have all the antique audio video equipment. And so, and if you have, by the way, if anybody has any antique audio video equipment, send it my way, because I like letting the kids look at it and just see how far we've come. But yeah, it's no more of this little Polaroid stuff. You have to, everybody's got their iPhones and they're fabulous cameras. So that'll be a great time. So in the chicks and stuff, what would you say to somebody that's just wanting them, just for pets? I mean, people need to know this is a commitment.
This is serious business.
Yeah, yes, this is serious stuff.
People that all of ours are pullets, females.
Right.
So therefore, they would be egg layers. So if you want some nice fresh eggs, here you go. It's an easy way to do it. About 6 months from now, you would have eggs on your table.
That was my question. I'm just about to ask. Okay, how long from the time I get chicks to when I will actually have eggs?
About 6 months, you would start having your first eggs.
Okay.
The 4-H'ers have their chick projects, and they got their chicks last week.
Okay.
And then they sell grown adult hens at the fair that are already laying.
Okay.
And so that's a huge project for the 4-H'ers, and so we need to support that when it comes fair time.
Okay, I don't think I realized that. I mean, I know that they're always, they're always in the. They have like pets and the different things. They'll have their goats, but I did not know that they had laying hens ready to go. So how long, if I were to buy chicks, I'm going to have in about 6 months, I'm going to have the
first eggs.
The first eggs.
Yes.
But then how long will they produce? How long do they lay?
A hen taken good care of and with proper maintenance, we'll say, like you would do your car, you got to do proper maintenance, and that means good feed, good care, good clean water.
Right.
Protect them from predators, because that's a big thing here. You can have eggs for 3 to 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. And how many eggs do chickens typically lay?
Basically an egg a day.
Oh, really?
Now,
that's wild.
Has to do with the daylight.
Okay.
In the commercial hen houses, they change the light, which they will get more than an egg a day on the average, because the hen thinks it's still daytime and she's supposed to lay. So they won't lay 3 eggs a day, but on the average, they'll get more than 1.
I had no idea. And West Kentucky's big on chicken farms.
That's right.
And so, but my family's never raised chickens. And so I don't know anything about them. My dad he liked to have different kinds of birds and chickens and geese and different things like that. And so we had some of those kinds of things. But as far as me ever fooling with it to know much about it, and I've had, we have a little farm, and I mean, we have land. We wouldn't call it a farm, but so everybody's like, you need some chickens, but I have these dogs. If I don't have a good chicken coop, they're going to kill them.
That's right.
So you got to protect them.
Protect them from the predators. Yes.
Yeah.
You can take a half a dozen laying hens and feed most families.
Oh, wow.
Keep most families at eggs.
That's awesome. And I mean, and honestly, I got to tell you something. Eggs are expensive this week.
Eggs are expensive, and feed is a reasonable price right now. Chicks are a reasonable price. It's a great project for young people. We had an older lady in yesterday, actually, that she grew up with chicks and grew up with chickens, and she wanted 6 chicks.
Yeah.
And basically going to use the eggs, but have them as pets.
Oh, funny.
So she grew up with them, and she was probably 85 years old.
Interesting. Because see, and the only way I could do it is to build a proper coop. We had our church up at Madison Church of Christ. And I don't know if you've ever seen. Have you ever been up there?
Yes.
Have you seen their little chicken coop they have out beside the Benevolent
Center?
Center?
The building, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Nathan Hale. Do you know Nate Hale?
Nathan.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, cool. I just love him. But he has got this he's just always wanting to do community gardening and all of those things. And so his little chicken coop there is really cool, because they roll down and come out it's like up in the air.
Right.
And I mean, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat the way he's got set up. Now, we had some wind damage. I don't know. Since I don't work there anymore, I'm there. It's my family, my church family, but I'm not there every day. So I'm not really sure but I know he had some damage to it.
It could probably be repaired.
Yeah, and what's the funniest thing is whenever the homeless people would be like, the chickens are out, and they'd try to...
That's right, try to round them up, yeah.
That was a common occurrence that we had happen at the Benevolent Center, and I'm sure it's still going on. But,
I'm sure,
okay, when it comes to chickens and stuff, because in the benevolent center we do Meals on Wheels and all those kinds of things. So what can we scrap to the chickens? Because bread, we can do like scrap bread.
Most anything you can feed to a chicken. Their stomachs are pretty tough.
Okay.
And, most anything, it needs, as a purchased feed, it's loaded down with calcium because you need that calcium to make the eggshells hard.
Okay.
You can have, if you just feed scraps, you can a lot of times have soft shells.
Oh, okay.
And the eggs just won't stand up. But a chicken out on the ground that can eat grass and worms and bugs and then have a little feed along will lay you a very nice country egg.
Okay. Okay, well, because see, that's the thing. Nate would always, we were, wanting to throw scraps to the chickens, and he was particular about what he wanted tossed to them.
Right.
And so it's Chick Days, guys. This is so much fun. Dorris feed meal, again, 1840s?
1844.
Wow, that is so cool. I just love that. And I love the feed meal atmosphere.
Well,
because I grew up with it.
It's a home atmosphere.
Yes.
We say if you can't come to Dorris Milling Company and smile and laugh, you just don't need to come.
There you go. I love it. So what all do y'all carry? What kind of products?
If it walks, we feed it.
Okay. I like it.
Our slogan is the feed store with a whole lot more.
I love it.
And so we have fencing materials, pet toys. We have mug boots for wintertime and wet time. We sell Red Wing shoes.
I don't think I knew you sold Red Wing
all
shoes.
Types of feed, of course.
Yeah.
All the way from earthworm chow to llama feed to chick feed to cow feed to horse feed. The dog feed, as you mentioned earlier, lots of varieties.
And cat. I've got a cat. I've got a cat.
Yes.
And, it's like, you have to supplement. I mean, I know a lot of us want to have the feral cats to keep the mice out, but you still need to supplement them.
You still need to supplement.
Yes, you do. And, because, they will get rid of your mice very quickly and they'll go after your birds. I got one now that's just vicious. I mean, he goes after everything.
And LaVern, if you have a cat that works on the mice, you will probably not have snakes because the snakes are after the mice also. But if there are no mice, you'll have very, very few snakes.
Really?
So I'd rather have a cat than a snake any day.
Well, see, I don't mind snakes. I kind of like, I just detest mice. Yeah. I cannot stand them. Rodents just, that's my phobia.
Give you the quivers.
And I need to be real careful about saying that because if my students ever figure it out at school, I'm in trouble. So drawer, I got to guard that because if I need to be careful. I guarantee you one of them's hearing this because they'll tune in from time to time and I'll let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. But that's my thing. And so I don't mind snakes. And my husband's terrified of them.
I'm with him. Yeah.
But a good chicken snake, a good king snake, something like that, they'll keep the mice down too.
I'm with your husband.
Well, and cats will get rid. Well, that's one thing because I can talk about this now because Mom and Daddy have passed, but the farmhouse where I grew up had a snake problem at one point.
Right.
And we got cats. And, we were like, Mom, Dad, you need some cats. And it took care of it. And I don't know if it was that they ran off the snakes or ran off the mice. They ran off the mice. And that's what took care of it.
The snakes will go somewhere else. Yeah.
I did not realize. I just assumed that the cats were predatory to the snakes, but it's not the case. They just took off their feed source.
Yeah, you cut out the middleman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
LaVern,
very good.
I might also mention, of course, the chicks that we have on hand and that we keep all the time are only pullets, the females, the egg layers. But we can order, if you want to have baby chicks of your own, we can order roosters. We can order various ornamental chickens also, the ones with the little fuzzy feet and the different color feathers. And they have to be special ordered, but we try to service all the needs.
That was the one that Dad was always interested in. Dad was interested in the more almost exotic kind of different birds. Type birds. Yeah. And he had a peacock at one time, a couple of them. Right. And, it's just, he always liked all the interesting birds. And it was so funny because his coop they took a grain bin and took half of a grain bin. You've seen those. And that was his chicken coop.
Right.
And that and his goats. He loved all that kind of stuff,
What, did he ever have guineas?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
Guineas, the guard chickens.
Yes.
They will eat all the bugs and let you know if anybody comes in your yard.
Really?
They're we call them alarm chickens.
Really? I had no idea.
They get really upset if somebody ingresses into their territory.
Okay. Well, we had them, and but they were in the coop and now out on the pond bank. So I mean, you know, he always had dogs too. So I mean, you know, all kinds of my. It was so funny when that they both have passed, but when we would talk to Mom and Dad. Daddy was such a farm boy, and we always said, well, if Mama goes first, Daddy will have goats living in the house. And he would have, you know, and because he loved any kind of animal.
I tell you, people become attached to their animals.
Oh, yeah.
And we see a lot of elderly people that have pets.
Yeah.
And that's just their companion.
Yeah.
And we say that animals make better people. And we, Purina, make better animals.
I like it. There you go. I like that. That's pretty good. I love that. And I mean, have you ever done anything else but the feed mill? You just slid right into it as a kid.
I hatched out right there.
I love it. I love it. So how old were you when you first started? Were you just like little bitty?
I used to go there at Coopertown. I lived toward Coopertown and went to Coopertown School. There was no kindergarten.
Yeah.
There was no preschool at that time. And this would have been, 60 years ago. And I went to the mill.
Yeah.
I rode with Daddy to the mill. No seat belts, no child seats, just piled in the truck and go, And
I grew up the same way,
same
brother.
way, that's right. And we would come right by here and head out to the mill, and that's where I grew up.
Is it at the same location?
No.
That's what I thought. Where was it originally?
The original mill, the original feed mill, was out across from Lee's.
Okay.
Lee actually, they rent the building now.
Okay.
And have lumber and materials stored in the building where I grew up. Then in 1963, we built the facility where we are now, down on South Main Street. I'm sorry, North Main Street.
Right.
It seems like I would know where I live.
No.
North Main Street. Yeah. For anybody that needs to sort of know, we're basically across from the fairground on Main Street, right behind the Tennessee driver license office there. And so 5 North Main.
Okay.
And so we went there in 1963. At that time, we also had a flour mill. Part of our heritage is in producing flour and cornmeal. That was up on 4th Avenue, actually where the new addition of Cheatham Park School is now.
Okay.
And but in 1963, we built the store where we are now, closed both of the other facilities and moved there. And about 20 years ago, we renovated it and became a little less of a feed mill and more of a farm supply store.
Right.
But we still grind and mix feed and make special mixes for people. A lot of show calf feed.
Okay.
A lot of special horse feeds.
That's neat.
So,
that's our old dairy barn on the farm where I grew up was turned into a feed mill.
Yes.
And so when we raised hogs, because we raised hogs in the 70s when you could still make money with hogs.
Exactly.
It kind of went, and my parents, my brother, they're all so good at seeing down the road and going, we need to get out of that. Same thing. That's what they did when they got out of dairy, because we were dairy farm for a while. And we raised hogs when it was profitable, and now they're just row crop. But it's so funny because I remember very clearly being up in the loft of that old milk barn, shoveling into the different
holes,
to mix that feed. Yes, well, into the hogs. We were. Well, and now when we had cattle, I was really young.
Okay.
And so I helped with the hog farm. And I mean, when I say help with the hog farm, my brother will roll his eyes because, I mean, he's like you. He was born to it and grew up in it.
That's right.
And I worked for a minute while I was in high school, just enough to say, yes, I worked for the hogs.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was in FFA and all those kinds of things. And, but yeah, my experiences are extremely minor in compared to my brother who's grown up in it.
Right.
And but it's a wonderful life. I just
that knowledge and that heritage is there.
Yeah, there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Houston Dorris is in the house, you guys, and talking about Dorris Feed Mill. Have y'all ever been on the Discover Robertson County or the?
Yeah, we have not.
Y'all need to be.
I have
Chamber of Commerce.
I have been to various activities and spoken about the heritage of Dorris Milling, and
yes,
it's very easy, LaVern. I just take all the pictures down off the wall and take them with me.
There you go.
And, the pictures are worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, they really are. It's a great place. I just love it.
Well, it's as I say, if you can't come there and smile and laugh, you just don't need to come.
There you go. And I'm just going to say right now, he needs to be on the tour. Y'all need to be on the Robeson County tour for sure.
I would welcome that.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great because I just think that's perfectly. I think that happens in September.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So because it's always around 9/11 because one year it was on 9/11.
Right,
so that needs to happen. We'll have to get a hold of them and
all right
and say
me.
We'll promote you. Let me go ahead and do a break here. We're going to continue talking with my friend, Mr. Dorris, Houston Dorris, and we just are real big fans of Dorris Milling, and kind of like your son-in-law too. My kids kind of grew up with him. Andrew's
a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yes,
we're pretty fond of him too. We need to talk about one of our sponsors. We're going to talk about Cumberland Connect, you guys. Okay, so I cannot say enough about their customer service. When I had trouble, I was with AT&T for a long time. And whenever I did traffic, we were talking about this the other day, I had a loop line. They took good care of me. But then when I stopped needing the extra attention with traffic and we just became a regular customer, I got to tell you, the internet service that we had out there, and just the lines weren't available. It wasn't profitable for them to give us a good line. It was terrible. I was paying $65 a month for like a 3.5 upload speed. Well, yesterday I get home and we've got Cumberland Connect now. We've been a little over a year with them, and my internet was just starting to act up a little bit. And so I called them, called the 1-800 number, 800-987-2362. Sweet, wonderful person got on the line with me. And just in minutes, she's like, oh, you need an update. And so they ran an update while we were sitting on the phone. And by the time we finished, we ran a speed test. It was in like 800 megabits per second. Are you kidding me? It was insane. The upload speed, and that was the download speed. The upload was like maybe 700. It was crazy. I mean, those kinds of speeds when it comes to broadband service, I never dreamed I'd be able to have access to because I live down at the end of a road, and it's just me. But because it's a utility now, Cumberland Electric. And this is all, I think, our governor had, a lot to do with really pushing that we really need to start giving connectivity to some of these outlying areas. And so that's part of it. And they're doing it here very well with Cumberland Electric. And so if you're a Cumberland Electric customer, you're going to have access to Cumberland Connect, and it is awesome. $80 gets you a gig. I know I don't need a gig, but I can get it for $80, and it is fabulous. And just cannot say enough about their customer service. I talked to them yesterday, and they were just wonderful, got me fixed and running without any problem at all. If you want to check out and see when they're going to be knocking on your door, you can go to cumberlandconnect.org, put in your address, and they'll let you know when they're going to be knocking on your door, and they may already be there. You can also call that number again. That was 1-800-987-2362, 800-987-2362. If you want to be a part of the Affordable Connectivity Program, if you need help paying for broadband services, they have a program that'll pay up to $30 per month for qualifying households, and they have packages starting at just $30 per month. It's a whole lot better than what I had for $65 a month. I'll just tell you, it's great stuff, good company, great customer service, as I found out yesterday. Cannot say enough about them. And when you talk with them, we always remind you to let them know their ad dollars are working. Tell them U-Turn sent you. Houston Dorris is in the house talking all things Dorris Feed Mill. It is Chick Days this weekend. Who was I talking to a couple of days ago? And they said something about you had fish days too, and they missed it. So what is that all about?
Well, we have
come up on that microphone a little bit for me.
We have a company that comes out of Bowling Green.
Okay.
Whiskers Catfish actually is their name, and he brings his truck, and it's loaded down with small fish.
Okay.
All of various kinds, even some ornamental fish, some of the kois, and I think this last trip that he made, which was last Saturday. Last Friday, I guess it was. I believe he had more people. There was more interest, and people were lined up waiting to buy fish. And he had a really good day. He just comes and uses our parking lot, and of course, a lot of people buy the catfish feed or the trout feed or whatever to go along with their fish.
Okay.
And he furnishes a bag and water and you put the fish in there and take them home and ease them out into your pond, and you're in the fish business.
I love it. We raised catfish when I was a kid as well, and we had 2 ponds. And I don't know, I'm sure there's probably some catfish in one of those ponds. It's monstrous.
Probably still, yeah.
Yeah, because those things get
grow big.
huge.
Yeah, they grow big.
And the pond down by my brother's house, I'm assuming is still stocked. Now the one up toward the farmhouse, the original pond, I think they did a lot of irrigation out of that one, and I think that's no longer holds fish.
Right,
and but nonetheless, it's fascinating because I grew up having to go feed the fish, and I got spoiled. One of the reasons I'm not much of a fisherman is because I got really spoiled with, if we wanted to catch fish, we threw the food out there, cast over it, and just kind of reeled into the mess, and they just. There you go.
Right.
It's pretty simple to catch fish when you roll into the feed, but
Whiskers,
just net them.
They come in the spring and in the fall.
Okay.
Usually, historically, July, August, they do not come because it's just too hot to transport the fish. And but there'll be several times this spring. We always have an announcement, and we usually try to print it in the paper.
Okay.
When the fishman's going to be here, we may put it on our banner board out in front of the store.
Okay.
But he's very specific because he goes other places also. So if he says 8 to 9, he means 8 to 9.
And that's it.
And that's it. Because, he'll serve whoever's there, but don't come at 9:01 because he's gone.
Well, try to message me and let me know when that's coming up, because I'm trying to remember who I was speaking with that was sad that they missed it.
They missed it
because they were needing some fish, and I'll have to look back at because I feel like it was while we were sitting in here talking, but because I had mentioned I was teasing the fact that you're coming in, and I don't know, maybe it was Kerry Roberts. Does he have fish?
He does. He does.
I think it was Senator.
Yeah.
I think it was Senator Roberts.
He does.
Yeah, I guess that was it, because he's got some ponds now on his property.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you need to let
I'll
Harry
call him
know
also.
whenever
Yeah, I'll call
he's
him also,
because he's looking for some fish, because we were talking about that on Monday. So anything we're missing that you need to cover, just tell them again what's the timeline and all of that on Saturday.
Well, this Saturday, of course, which is the 30th, the day before Easter, from 9 to 11. Of course, 9 to 12. We're open from 7:30 to 12, but the activities will be happening from 9 to 12. The pony rides, the petting zoo, the chicks will be there, the ducks will be there. We have a possibility of having some live rabbits, but that has not come to fruition as of yet.
Okay.
Maybe it's going to work out. And then, of course, the Easter Bunny will be there. We invite all the children, and we've had lots of little bitty children that gotten their picture made with the Easter Bunny, and now their mama brings them and their teenagers to get their picture made with the Easter Bunny.
That's great.
And so
it's a tradition.
It's a tradition. It really is.
Yeah, it's a family tradition.
It's absolutely free, and we welcome each and every one to come.
I love it. And it's just great. It's across from the fairgrounds, behind where you get your driver's license. You can't miss it. And if you've not visited Dorris Mill and you don't know what you're missing, get out there, get your dog food there, y'all. You just can't beat it. It's great. We've been feeding it for years now. And cannot say enough about the quality and the just, y'all are so kind. We just love y'all. And thank you for coming in.
LaVern, thank you for having me. I look forward to the next time.
And you tell your granddaughter we need to have her in, because I thought we were going to have a little one in here. And what'd she tell you?
She said, Hootie. She calls me Hootie for Houston. She said, Hootie, I don't think so.
And how old is she?
She's 5.
We'll have to work on her. She'll get a little bit older, and we'll have to bring her in.
We'll bring her in.
We'll coax her in. That's good. Well, you tell Andrew and all the crew I said hello.
I'll sure do it.
God bless you. Chick Days, and we'll keep promoting it too for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ron Martin's outside. He is about to head his way in here, and we'll let Houston and him switch, and we'll just continue on. You're fine. Go on out. I'm going to go ahead and do a commercial while we're waiting for Ryan to come on in here. If you're looking for help in the real estate community, we talk about all the time. We talk about the Richards, Rebecca and Barry Richards, good friends of this program. Now, I'll tell you, I got to talk about the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival, because they put up a post yesterday, and I shared it before I came on the air today. And any of you guys that are watching on social media, the WSGI feed, give me a message in comments to make sure we're coming through okay, because I haven't heard from Paul Rainey this morning. I want to make sure everything's working, because we're just sharing the feed from WSGI. We're not putting an original feed out on my Facebook page. We're sharing that one to my social media. So we just want to make sure everything's working right. So if you can give me a comment on there and say, yep, we're good, that would be awesome. But right before I put up the show this morning, I put up the post about what they're doing at the Kilgore Station, or at Kilgore Park. They have done a big renovation on the barn. because the barn is where we facilitate everything. We have the stage, and we have a square dance in the back, and fiddle competition and all that. And that's May 17th and 18th. And then they're putting in a restroom. Oh, no more portalets. I'm so excited because I've been a part of the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival from the very beginning. And Barry and Rebecca Richards, they're one of the founding sponsors. They're still one of the big sponsors at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. So when I'm talking about them, I can talk about the festival too, because it's coming up and it will be on us that quick. So we want you to come out and be a part of it. But don't wait until the festival to come out and talk to Barry and Rebecca. They are still with Exit. They've changed the name. Still part of the Exit tree. They're a new branch called Exit Prime Realty. Barry is the broker on the downtown square. He has an office. And then Rebecca is an agent out of White House. They took those two offices and made a new branch to the Exit tree, Exit Prime Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell, if you need help, maybe transitioning and you want to be a realtor, I pointed one of my students that's out of school. I said, you need to call the Richards because he's studying real estate, but didn't really know which group he was going to work with. And I said, man, you need to go talk to them. But you can reach out to Rebecca at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, sellwithbecky.com, buy, B-U-Y, RobertsonCounty.com. They're cross-Planians. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Always please let them know that U-Turn sent you. Ryan Martin's in the house. Oh my goodness, we just pestered you to death with when you coming in. I think Lee Marie got confused and thought you were coming in last week, and I was like, no, I rescheduled him for this week. I'm kind of selfish with my reoccurring guests. I kind of like to keep them to myself. Now, some of them can't, some of them can't come in at different times, but, and I do appreciate Lee Marie so much for covering for me and giving me a week off. But I will have to say, I do appreciate you waiting and coming in and talking to me.
Well, thank you.
Anyway,
cross-Planians is that I just learned something new. I did not know that that's the proper term for somebody that. I
think I came up with it. So
okay, well,
you're
good.
Welcome.
You have to. I think isn't that what they said about Shakespeare? He invented like 1,500 words, so
there
it doesn't matter. Just go with it.
Cross-Planians.
Yeah.
Cross-Planians. Yeah, I've always called them. Well, because they focus. They're so good here in Robertson County. The Richards are, but they've been in Cross Plains almost 30 years. So yeah, Cross-Planians and Springfieldians. I don't know. That doesn't have as much of a ring to it. We'll have to come up with a good one.
Yeah, work on that one.
There you go. So were your ears burning yesterday?
Maybe.
Mayor Vogel was in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we got to talking about just the plans for parking and the downtown square. Can you talk about that? I just kind of want to jump out with that because you are building a parking garage.
Well,
that's something. Are you talking about it, or should I have asked you about that off mic? I am
no.
sorry.
It's perfectly fine,
okay.
And it's something that we want to do.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
It's something that we haven't planned to do, but it's something that we desire to do. The Board of Mayor and Alderman, we went through a facility study in 2023 because we have a lot of aging facilities.
Right.
City Hall. We also it's a space issue, right? We need a third fire station. The police department has some significant structural and foundational issues. Mm-hmm. Our wastewater department building is to be generous, it's dilapidated, right?
Right.
And so it's that's the most generous way I can put it. And so it's one of those things where we really need to look at how we plan for facilities in the future, prioritize those things. So one of those things when we're looking at a city hall and redoing city hall with the land that we have, one of the concepts or ideas, so I want to be very specific about it being a conceptual kind of thing, is to build city hall a little bit closer to Main Street and put a parking structure, 2 or 3 level parking structure behind it that would service City Hall, that would service the center, it would service downtown, it would service the businesses downtown,
right.
Events downtown. That's where we really... There are, and I can't remember the exact number, but there are 3,000 parking spaces within a 3/4 mile radius of downtown or 1 mile radius of the square. Mm-hmm. And we had looked at that for a variety of things when we did the bicentennial event in 2019 and when we had about 8,000 people down there. First Friday Night Market brings about 5,000 people. Parking isn't generally an issue when you're doing events on the weekends or a Friday night. Right. Mm-hmm. It's an issue during the day. And that's when businesses are active, the court is active, and people need to, go downtown for services or for things like that. So it's something, and parking is not an issue most of the time at the center. Now, it can be through the week when there's an event through the week at night or something like that. especially on a Wednesday night, because one of the, when you look at the parking that's around there, there's Cheatham Park, right? So when school's in session, that's not an option, right? But when it's not, that's a nice vacant parking lot over there. Springfield Baptist is nearby, and they have a nice parking lot. And I know folks on the weekends, Main Street's right next to them. You look at our public lots. We have the two public lots that house a lot. You have the Methodist Church. You have the middle school. That's a walking distance. But people have parked there for downtown with larger events or the parade or whatnot. So there are a lot of parking spaces that are in and around, but there needs to be more concentrated parking. We recognize and understand that parking is an issue downtown, and we want to try to resolve that. That's something that the planning stages need to take place, probably a little late on. So we're working on that. And so, I know the county, and that's why I've been bugging Mayor Vogel, because I know they're building a parking garage over at the county office building. I was like, tell me more about that, because we need one downtown. Yeah,
and that's the reason it came up. And I don't think it was actually, we weren't talking on air. We were chit-chatting before or after the show, and we were just talking about some of the things that, specifically about parking, because they're building across the street right now from the main office there. And so I was just going to get in the particulars on, well, they're moving the veteran service over there. And just the different things about how they're trying to free up space and just, accommodate this growing county. Yeah. It's wild. And it's just amazing. I mean, what did you tell me? How many roofs are we to expect in the next 5 years coming
5 to 10 years, and I think that a lot of that's contingent upon interest rates, but 3,200.
That's wild.
So that's, if you average, I just found out yesterday that we actually beat the census average in Springfield. The census average is about 2.66 people per home. Yeah. We're at 2.8.
Wow.
So if you multiply that essentially times 3, I'll make it easy on myself. I'm an attorney, not a mathematician. But, that's like 9,500 people.
Yeah.
Right. And so, or something close to that. So it's a little over 9,000 people. So that's that's a lot of people to add to a city that in the 2020 census was 18,000. That's 50% growth.
You better believe it.
And then we're talking about, and that's just what we've approved. That's not even what's been proposed. When you look at what's been proposed, you're looking at another 30 to 40% growth on top of that. And it's remarkable. And we've talked about it. We've got an interest rate break over 2023 because interest rates were high, and so building slowed down a little bit and didn't come to a stop, but it slowed down. The Fed announced last week that they're looking at 3 rate cuts this year, and so what that did is got our phone ringing more with some folks that were kind of sitting on the sidelines, and we've got some developments that, regardless of interest rates, are getting ready to get underway this year in the summer, and so that's happening. I think they understand the adjustment to the interest rates, but I think more folks that were really impacted by the rates that were on the sidelines and kind of holding up to see which way things were going to go are more confident now. So I think we're going to see where we had that explosion in 20 and 21, 19, 20 and 21, and really into 22, and then we saw a little pullback in 23. We still had a lot of growth in 23, don't get me wrong, but comparatively speaking to the explosion, it was a pullback for us, and I think in 24 we're going to see that go quite a bit substantially greater again.
Very good. And just getting an update from Ryan Martin. He is our city manager. And you mentioned you're an attorney. Is that your background? I didn't know that.
I didn't mean to say that out loud. Yeah, I am.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody.
Shh. Well, I'm sorry. Well, but no, seriously, I find it fascinating to hear people's backstory a little bit, And well, that's interesting. And so we're talking with Ryan Martin. He is our city manager here in Springfield and doing a fabulous job. Anybody who knows you,
thank you.
Very, very complimentary about the way you conduct and lead everything. And so we just, absolutely thank you for that. So what went on with the mayor and alderman meeting last week?
Yeah, so we had a light meeting. We're entering into budget season, and that's when things get, we've got a lot going on there. And so we had a light business meeting last week. We did do a couple of things of note. We did pass on second reading our electric vehicle charging rate. As I've mentioned before, we got a grant from the state to install an electric vehicle charger. There are a lot of electric vehicles downtown that are downtown Springfield that are floating around. A lot of people and some folks had made a request, and it's not something that we could afford to do, but with a grant through the state, we were able to put one in. It's right over near the center And so we're excited about that opening up, and we'll have a ribbon cutting on that on April the 25th coming up with TVA will be here because TVA was heavily involved in that project. Obviously, they supply the electricity through to us, and then we supply it to the charging station. But so we got a lot of folks that are excited about that have EVs. I personally don't have an EV, so but I'll be I'll be there, and I'm interested to see how it all works. I don't know much about all that stuff, so I'll be interested to see how it works. But that's coming up on April the 25th. We looked at our legacy golf rates last week and approved a slight increase just to keep up kind of with inflation and the cost of doing business, the cost of staffing, and that sort of thing. It's a golf course is a lot to take care of, just like the park system is. And so when you have mowers and equipment and things like that with the golf course, it's more specialized equipment, right? And so it's a very, very small increase. I think it's $5 was the increase that they passed on first reading. Speaking of the golf course, we just had a major deal in Springfield a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the first weekend in March. So I haven't been here since we had this, but we hosted the Music City Shootout at the Legacy Golf Course, the women's version. There were 8 college teams from, or maybe more than that. Maybe it's 10 college teams from 8 states or 8. I can't remember, but it's 8 states or folks descended on Springfield.
That's cool.
For Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to play in a college golf tournament that the Legacy hosted. So there was a course in Davidson County that hosted the men's tournament, and the Legacy was selected to host the women's tournament. So, but the catch to that is that both the women and the men and the families and the coaches all stayed in Springfield.
That's awesome.
So if you were here the first weekend of March and you said you realized that there's a lot of traffic in town and there was a lot of buses and a lot of college transportation and restaurants were full and stores were full and that sort of thing, that's why that amounts to about a $750,000 to $1 million economic input, economic activity for that 4-day period.
That's awesome.
That's big for our businesses.
You better believe it.
Big for our small businesses. Ace, our tourism coordinator, she was kind of their concierge that worked on that as far as with liaison with the coaches to say, hey, here's what we have locally to eat, here's where we have locally to shop, and tried to keep them locally so they spent that money. And so we've gotten some feedback from business owners that said, yeah, we noticed a big difference that weekend. So that's something that when we can host those things and bring that kind of economic activity to Springfield, we're going to do. So the Legacy Golf Course, that's also one of those things I think I've told you, we try not to tell too many people we own because we don't want to ruin its reputation. But it's one of those things that it's an asset for the city of Springfield, and it can be used for economic activity and an economic boost.
Well, and I mean, even some of the businesses, I think, might even can extend some hours and things like that when you have that kind of stuff in town, because it's well worth it.
Yeah.
I just think that is the coolest thing. And, I did notice it was a little bit busier that weekend.
Yeah, it was.
So there we go.
Weekend.
There we go. And I just love that we can do that kind of stuff. And, can we talk about some of the things that are coming up? Can we kind of tease a little bit of that?
Yeah.
As far as, we've got the festival that's coming up. And as far as 4th of July, can you kind of give us a little bit update on all that before we move on?
Eclipse event coming up. Y'all kind of hit the highlights.
Oh, yeah,
We've got the Eclipse event coming up that Ace has been working really hard on, and that's coming up on April the 8th.
Yeah, it's a week from Monday.
Yeah, so that's coming up first, and then we will be making an announcement on Freedom Fest and our
That's what I was teasing.
Yeah.
I was like,
so it's Wednesday, July 3rd.
Yeah.
So I can tell you the date. I think I've told you that before. It'll be Wednesday, July the 3rd, and we've got someone lined up. I think we're finalizing contract negotiations right now. That was on a musical television show. That did performed well on a musical television show that'll be headlining. So
I bet I know.
Somebody
I can guess, but I'm not going to guess. I'll guess off mic.
You probably could. So so we're excited about having that. If we can get that finalized and finalize the rest of the talent schedule. Of course, we'll have a big event that night with carnival rides and the food vendors and everything that we do there. And that's always a great event. We had I don't know if I shared this with you, but we had the data that we gathered back from the electronic data we gathered back was 9,600 individual phones were pinged in and around the fairgrounds between 4 and 10 p.m.
Wow.
So that's phones. So that it doesn't include anybody under the age of 6 that doesn't have a phone, because everybody over the age of 6 seems to have a phone now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's a big crowd. And of course that's not, and for people that haven't come to that event, they're like 9,600 people. I'm not going near that.
Yeah.
Well, It doesn't feel like that. The fairgrounds, they're gracious host, and it's a large, expansive facility, and people are spread out. Plus, people come and go. Some people want to come early, do the carnival rides, get some food, and maybe see a little bit of music, and then they leave. And then other people don't come until the headliner plays, right? They want to come for the music. They want to come for that headliner. We had a lot of folks that came just to see Megan Maroney last year, and came at the end. And so that's so it never felt. And frankly, hasn't felt overwhelming. We haven't had that feedback as far as, well, there's too many people, because it's a free event. So, you don't know how many people are going to come or show up or that sort of thing. And we just haven't had that feedback that I wasn't comfortable or it was too crowded or anything like that. The lines for the carnival rides don't get that long. And so it's as long as we have good weather, we'll have a good event, I think.
Sounds wonderful. And I'm anxious to see get the confirmation of who you got coming for the headliner. But now we've also got the festival that Ace has been working on that's coming up later in the year.
And that's in August. And so that's coming up. That's the Fire Cured Festival. And so that comes after Freedom Fest. And so that's the next fest. That's going to be a big festival. That's going to include, and kind of the theme and the premise behind that is, Robertson County being the dark fire tobacco capital of the world. And so that kind of theme of fire cured, what are all things fire cured? And so she's worked with a lot of great people, had a lot of great ideas. And so I'm excited about the economic activity that brings, and the fun and the educational aspect of it. I think so too. Of learning and the different activities that there will be to do. It'll be great.
I think so too. And I'm excited that she's in that position, because who better to be promoting our city?
Right.
She's very good at it. If you don't know Ace, I had somebody the other day, I said something about it was for the Vietnam Vets Day. Vietnam Vets Day is coming up on Friday, and she had reached out to me looking for the flyers, and I had reached out to the folks over at the Veteran Service Office, and one of them said, I said, you need to email it to Ace, and they're like, who's Ace? I'm like, how can you ask that question? And being in this county or city, how can you not know who Ace is? But anyway, she does a great job. She's a lot of fun. So I'll reach out to her and get her in here to talk. But I do want to mention Vietnam Vets Day is on Good Friday, and we have an event at Springfield Memorial Gardens that I'll be a part of. It starts at noon. Now we're going to read the names that are on the memorial tomorrow night at the Springfield Memorial, and that's at 6 p.m. But again, come a little bit early. They're going to have meet and greets and all that, but it's going to be happening at Springfield Memorial Gardens. That's an amazing thing that we have there. I mean, people coming from all over the country to remember their loved ones that served in Vietnam. It's amazing. But what else have you got for us?
Well, another announcement too, or reminder, we have the cleanup day. We do our annual community cleanup day. We tried it last year, then had to reschedule it, and then it got, bumped again because of weather. So we're hoping for good weather on April the 20th. We usually do that around Earth Day. And so the community cleanup, and we're working on, we'll have breakfast again, and we'll have supplies, and everything will be the same. It's the simplest, easiest cleanup that anyone can ever do, because they don't have to dispose of the litter. They just have to leave it. We provide the bags, we provide the vests, we provide gloves, everything you need. And if you register, you register with your church, your school, your employer, whoever. If you want to get a group of friends, it doesn't matter, or just yourself, we'll assign you with a group. We won't send you out on the street by yourself. We send groups out to cover these areas of the city, and we'll have a lot of employees that are signing up to work that day and to help clean up. And so we'll be out, and we give you everything, and all you have to do when you fill up a bag is tie it off and just leave it right there. Okay. And our truck comes by and picks it up. So it's very organized. We assign you a group and a route. Maybe you have your own group that you want to sign up together. We do a lot of businesses in town will sign up 5 or 6 of their employees, and that'll come, and so we'll assign them an area, and they'll take a few streets or a few blocks, and all you do, you fill up a bag and you leave it right there. Our trucks run the routes. We know where the routes are because we've assigned them, and we pick up all of that, and we dispose of it. So all you have to do is show up, eat breakfast, go pick up for a little bit, leave the bags, and then you can get in your car and go home. So we make it easy on you, and we know that unfortunately people just don't appreciate and don't respect where we live. And so we wish people would take better care of our home and our community, but they throw trash out the window. I was on Batson Parkway and couldn't believe the fast food trash that someone had just let out the window.
When you're driving behind somebody and they throw it out, you just want to...
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
interrupted
Well,
you.
and I don't want to get too much of a soapbox there,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah,
no.
it's disappointing, but that's okay. What's encouraging, the flip side to that, the positive side, is there are a lot of people who do care. And there are a lot of people. We had over 100 volunteers signed up last year, and we're doing well again with volunteers. And so we encourage everybody to sign up. We've got we get complaints all the time. Had somebody ask me about 3 weeks ago and said, "What are y'all going to do about this, litter problem?" I said, "Well, it's funny you ask, because we're going to take our opportunity to resolve it or help clean it up, and we'd appreciate you coming along with us, and if you care, because we do. It's 3 hours. It's 9 a.m. to noon. You may get done before noon. We try to cut it off at noon to give people their Saturday back, but it's we start at 9. People are usually on their routes by 9:30, and they can pick up at usually some routes get done about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and some, maybe take a little bit longer or go a little slower or whatever the case may be. But we try to cut it off at noon so you can have the rest of your Saturday back.
Very good. And just all kinds of wonderful things happening here in our city of Springfield, talking with Ryan Martin, city manager. And let's pause for a minute, and then we're going to come back. And I kind of jumped off of the update from the mayor and alderman meeting because I started asking about events. So we'll let you come back and finish up all the meeting activities that happened last week from the mayor and alderman meeting, but we're going to pause and we're going to talk about Veterans Motorplex. We are getting close, guys. Now, officially, Veterans Motorplex, their season is March to October. Sometimes it will extend into November. And this year we've had a little bit of a delay in racing. It is racing season, but they've not had their first race yet because they've been making some improvements to the track. So if you want to stay up to date on when that first race is going to happen, talk to Jerry, and he's thinking it's not going to be this weekend. It's not going to be Easter weekend. It could be next weekend, or certainly by the next weekend. But the way it's going to work is you've got that $40 ticket. When it's a general race, when it's nothing special, like when they bring the big rigs in. We went to that big rig show last year. It was so cool. But when they bring the specialty stuff in, then it's a different ticket. But for the general ticket that they have every Saturday for that quarter-mile, high-banked, asphalt, bull ring racetrack, it is $40. We'll get up to 6 kids and 2 adults in for $40. It is a family-friendly environment. There's no alcohol served, no alcohol sales. It's not allowed. So that's unusual for a racetrack. They want you to bring your family and to enjoy that atmosphere. They got a great concession stand. Some of my students have worked there, and it's their first job they ever had. Isn't that just the coolest thing? But it's at 6801 Kelly Willis Road up in Greenbrier. You can call them at 615-430-3135, 615-430-3135. Reach out to Jerry if you have any questions, but get ready for racing. It is racing season. First race is going to happen in a couple of weeks, and we will keep you up to date on that. But always, when you go by there, be sure and let Jerry know his ad dollars are working and that U-Turn sent you. Continuing on with Ryan Martin, he is in the house, giving us an update on the mayor and alderman meeting from last week. Lee Marie will be here with the Go Show coming up shortly, so y'all stay with us. What you got next?
Well, we had a couple of reimbursement items that were ratified and approved that were related to tornado damage. That process still lingers months later, and so we're in that FEMA stage where we're working with FEMA. I have a meeting next week with them. They'll be on site to talk and discuss and looking at trying to get that federal reimbursement. We were included in that emergency declaration for the damage that we had locally, particularly to our electric system and the various damage that we had related to that. So working through that. Encouraging news, our January economy numbers looked good. Our sales tax numbers, we set a record in December, which was the February numbers that we get because that's 2 months behind. We set a record in December, and then January was also pretty good. And that's one of the things, one of those bellwethers that we look at, try to keep our finger on the pulse of the economy locally to see are we, because if your sales tax numbers, that's indicative of how much money people are spending, how much money they have to spend. And that's really a good indicator and gauge of how healthy your economy is. And our economy locally is doing very well. And so I know that some people are struggling with different things and prices are higher and that sort of thing. But as a whole, on average, our economy is still very healthy locally, and we're grateful for that. We also have we're undertaking our comprehensive growth plan update that we're doing, and so we'll have a work session with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I think I mentioned that too. We started that back in the fall, looking at where all this growth is and how we grow and that sort of thing. And so we're concerned about the growth. I didn't mention this earlier. We're concerned about the growth. There's some legislation at the state level out there that is a little bit concerning as it relates to water and sewer system improvements. And so we're anxiously awaiting that. That legislation, frankly, if it were to come to pass, could kill growth statewide. I mean, it would crush growth statewide. What that legislation does is an amendment to a bill that I think is presented by the Speaker of the House, is to have the water and sewer utilities, the cities and the counties that own water and sewer utilities and that sort of thing, pay for the improvements for a subdivision. So the standard right now is if a developer comes in, let's say a big national builder comes in and they buy some farmland and they say, I'm going to put 400 homes here, I'm going to put 200 homes here. We say, okay, we work through that process and that planning process, and then they put in all of that water and sewer infrastructure while they're building the home for it to service the homes, and then when they're finished, they dedicate that water and sewer infrastructure to the utility, to the city or the county, right, or to the utility district. The developer gets their money back because if they put in that infrastructure, that might amount to, for 200 lots, it might amount to $8,000 or $10,000 a lot, right? So they had, instead of selling a lot for $50,000, they sell a lot for $60,000, or it's included in the cost of the house. They get their money back on that, right? This legislation would require, when they got ready to turn that over, would require the city and the county or the utility to pay that developer for that infrastructure, which is millions of dollars, right? So our sewer rates are already astronomical. It would eliminate our ability to grow, period. I mean, frankly, because we would grow. I mean, maybe you can do a 10-house subdivision because we'd be able to pay for that infrastructure, but 3,200 homes and that sort of thing is out the window. So getting these restaurants and big box, stores and more small businesses and that sort of thing would be out the window because we wouldn't add the rooftops necessary for that, and they wouldn't be able to grow. So that's concerning. There are a lot of cities and I think counties that are concerned about that right now, about that legislation. I think it's intended to help, the developers. I think that it ends up penalizing developers because then developers have nowhere to build.
Exactly.
Because the cities and the counties can't pay them. Yeah. So we're working on that. I'll tell you a quick story before we wrap up that's completely separate from that, because you had Houston Dorris on this morning. Yeah. We were talking about growth and that sort of thing. A lot of people don't know this, and Houston, I don't know if he would want me to tell the story or not, but we were courting and recruiting Chick-fil-A for about a year and a half, right? And the first conversations I think we had that I had with Chick-fil-A corporate headquarters in Atlanta were in 2021. And so we were talking, and they wanted to be here, and we wanted them here. So it was a mutual, we didn't have to sell them too hard on Springfield because, we like what's going on. We want to be there. We really just have to find a spot, work through some different things. Some things fell through. And finally, we had identified some things, and they had identified some things, and on the phone with them, and they were like, what about that spot over there by the YMCA that we talked about? Is that for sale? And I said, no, it's not, but I can find out. And for those that don't know, Houston's family they were the owners of that property, and Houston, his family. So I called Houston, and at the shop down there on North Main, and I said, hey, I've got a question for you. And I said, with that property over there, would you be willing to sell any of that property over there by the Y? And he said, well, I don't know. I said, well, there's somebody particularly, high on the list that's interested. And he said, well, who is it? And I said, well, it's Chick-fil-A. He said, well, let me talk to him. So ultimately, everybody knows that a deal got put together, and we have a Chick-fil-A now. But Houston Dorris could have said no, and then we would have been back to square one on not having a Chick-fil-A. So grateful for folks like that are willing to listen and look out for the community and just appreciate folks like him.
Yeah, and I he probably appreciated the company and what they stand for too. Yeah. Knowing that man, I kind of think that may have had something to do with it. Had to be the right property.
That's right.
So I love it. I love him. I love that family. So anything else you got for us wrapping up the meeting? Is that all the particulars?
I think that's all the particulars. We still have Batson Parkway still on schedule. The extension is still on schedule to open in June. So that construction is looking good. We have a newsletter that goes out that keeps everybody informed. Sign up for our newsletter. Go to springfieldtn.gov/cleanup. Sign up for the cleanup and follow us on social media to keep to stay in tune to what's going on.
Sounds wonderful. Ryan Martin, city manager here in Springfield. Appreciate that late update from the mayor and alderman meeting that happened last week. It always happens on the third Tuesday. That's right. So if you want to be a part of it, tune into that. Thank you, Ryan. His office is always open. And of course, we have got more coming up for you here on the 1100 WSGI. That wraps us up for One Street Over. But Lee Marie's coming in with the Go Show. Stay tuned right here again on 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.